Once you have these legs ready, you have to figure out how to connect them together. So there are multiple options. So sometimes the rest of the furniture rests on top of the legs, like in this example. So the legs are not attached to anything. Sometimes there are flat pieces of wood connecting the legs, like here. Right, sometimes it's pretty similar to the flat connecting pieces, but in this case the straight part is very long, and this front panel that connects them together is curved as well. Okay, and quite often the legs seem to transition seamlessly into each other, like here. It all seems like one piece or a single object. Here's another example. So you have to figure out how to connect them like this. And in some advanced examples there are more than 4 legs, like for this sofa you have probably some 8 or 6 legs connected in an oval pattern. So it's not that difficult. So let's look at the most simple way we can connect these legs. I'm gonna make a copy, group it together. And most of the time these legs are rotated at a 45-degree angle. So when you're looking at it from the top, it points outwards or towards the corners of the piece of furniture. I'm gonna make a couple of instances. Just mirror them. Okay. And let's say it's a small cabinet or a small bench. Okay, I think a bench is a better example. And we can just connect them with some boxes. This is the most simple way you can do it. Okay, check from the side view. And you just connect them with these flat pieces. But sometimes the boxes that connect them are not flat, but they sort of continue the shape of the leg, like in this example here. And you can do that as well. I'm just going to show you how. You just add some more segments. Okay, this particular leg is not a perfect example of this, since the curve is pretty steep. But I'm going to show you the general idea. So you just adjust the shape, or you can even use a line tool to create the perfect shape in one step. And let's say it goes like that and like that. Okay, I'm gonna close this up. And that's gonna be a half of the connecting piece. So just extrude. Add symmetry. And you have a nice profiled piece that continues the shape of the leg. Make sure it's centered. And like that. And you can make a copy for the back. And rotate. And make a copy for the sides. And that's the general idea. And whatever goes on top just covers those holes. And for example, I'm just gonna quickly create a box on top. And if you gave it some profile, it could be a nice coffee table or something. Okay, so that's how you connect some pieces with flat connectors. Right, let's try another example. Let's say it's gonna be a chair with a slightly more difficult connection pattern. So let's say it's something like this. I'm going to start by isolating my object. I think it's a bit too thick. And as you can see, okay, maybe this one is a nicer example, a bit more difficult. It has a rounded part here, but the side sort of extends to connect the other side. So to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and delete the top. Then let's rotate it 45 degrees. Okay. Let's get rid of everything on the top. And now to create a nice connection, I'm going to select these edges. And from the front view, I'm going to extrude them by Shift plus Move. Okay, rotate it so the transition is nice and smooth. And finally finish it up like that. Okay, so that's one side. And to do the other side, you need to add some symmetry. Okay, like this. It's almost good. Just need to add a segment here. I'm gonna extrude it, target weld this lower vertex, and move this part out to form a nice corner. And maybe move it up like this to round it. Okay, as you can see, there is another profile line along the top edge. And it goes towards the center. I think we can use this edge to create that. Okay. Just smoothen out the general shape. Okay, and looks like this poly is not needed. And let's add this decorative trim. Okay, so I'm going to chamfer this edge. Like this. And I'm gonna select this this newly created strip of polys and convert my selection to faces. Alright. And finally, let's extrude it outwards by local normals. Okay. Okay, let's make this nice and smooth. Okay, so we have the profile on the front. There's a little profile over here as well. Seems like we need to modify the shape a little bit. Okay, that's better. I think this part is a bit too thick. Okay, you can adjust this by tweaking the vertex distance from each other like this. So you have to be careful not to mess anything else up, but it's doable. Alright, so something like that. And this is gonna be the element. we're going to use to create the rest of the legs. And the easiest way to do that is by using some symmetry modifiers. But since we rotated the object 45 degrees, the symmetry axis is rotated as well, and we have to fix it by rotating it 45 degrees like that. Okay, so that seems about right. And now when you select your edge loops and extrude them, you can connect them in the middle. Okay, so very simple. We can add this curving as well. So let's bring this part down. Let's add some segments. Okay, so it goes like that and like that. And the top edge is smoother. Okay, so let's say that's our final shape. And before we curve it forward, we can add another symmetry modifier for the back. Just rotate it like this, all backwards. And you have the frame ready. Okay, I'm just gonna add some detail here. Okay. And so let's say for the sides we want a different pattern. As you can see, the front is a different curve than the side. And we can do that as well. So about the top symmetry modifier, we're gonna add edit poly. And from the side view, we're gonna change the curve. I'm gonna remove these edges and these vertices. And change my pattern a bit. Okay. So now we have the front correct, side correct, and we're gonna add another symmetry to make the other side correct as well. Okay, sides are good, everything's fine. And we can modify the curve of the front. Okay, for that I'm going to use the FFD modifier. Just slightly curve it like that. Then add edit poly. Make the back legs a bit closer to each other. Looks like that's the wrong side. I think I need to modify this one. And make sure everything flows smoothly into a nice shape like this. And maybe slightly round the back. Okay, so that's the basic framework. As you can see, it's not that difficult, you just have to figure out how these symmetries work. And finally on the top I'm gonna add another edit poly, select my upper border and shift plus scale it inwards like this, just to give the object some thickness. And finally select this edge ring and connect and slide it outwards. So that's a good frame to start building some upholstery on. Okay, and you can use the same technique but with multiple symmetries to create some advanced connections like this one here. The basic process is the same.